Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. I hope that you are all good. In today's video, we're going to be creating this autumn leaves acrylic design set using the Modelones acrylic system. Now I have already applied my tips and a thin clear acrylic base, so we're going to jump straight in to doing the design. And the first color that I'm going to be using is number 65 from the Modelones new Pantone collaboration collection. So this is their collection for autumn winter, and it's such a gorgeous color. So I find this color is quite a nice, kind of want to say chestnut brown. It has a little bit of a terracotta tone to it as well. It's a really beautiful color, especially for autumn and winter. Now I did swatch the full Modelones Pantone collection on my previous video, so do check that out if you want to see the other colours that are available in this collection. So on to this design. On this nail, I want to take this colour roughly halfway down the nail. I did take it a little bit too far down the nail, so I just took off some of that using my brush so that I can blend it out. I don't want there to be a too harsh line where this brownie colour ends, and I do want there to be a clear tip, so I want to keep that tip as clean and clear of acrylic as possible. I did, however, want to build up the coverage down at that cuticle and natural nail bed area. So I've just come in with another small bead of acrylic and I'm just building up that colour. I don't want to build up the full strength or structure with the colour because we are going to encapsulate in clear. And then once again, I'm just cleaning up that fade and tip area ever so slightly. And then directly on top of that tacky acrylic, I'm going to come in with these chrome flakes. Now these chrome flakes, I have no clue where they're from, unfortunately. I've had them in my kit ages. I believe it could be just somewhere like eBay or AliExpress, but you can pick these up at most nail art suppliers anyway. Now these have a gorgeous color shift. They start off quite a dark gold, but in certain lights they can look quite greeny as well. So I've tapped them on just using my wet brush and broken those up to create this shattered effect. And then on top of that, I'm just popping on some crushed pearl pieces. Again, these reflect absolutely beautifully, so it creates a really nice autumnal tonal effect onto that nail. Now I'm just washing over a teeny tiny bit of clear acrylic here, just so I can place down some glitter leaves. Again, I have no clue where these are from, as they've been in my collection ages, and because I only really use them for autumn nails, they've just lasted forever. Now I'm just placing these down across that swoosh, nudging them around until I'm happy of how they're all placed, and then just applying a teeny tiny bit of acrylic over the top just to hold those in place. And then I will encapsulate this now later on. So for now, that's that now finished. Moving on to the ring finger, I want to do an ombre. So I'm coming in with the Modelones white acrylic. And as you can see, I've applied a really thin layer on the very tip of the nail. And then I'm just flipping my brush into reverse and blending that back. You don't want there to be a harsh line whenever you're doing an ombre, especially when you're using pigmented colors like white. Now, because I did apply that colour quite thin, I'm just building it up slightly with another thin layer and then repeating that step of blending it back. This ombre doesn't need to be perfect because we're going to be applying those chrome flakes and nail art over the top, but I always like to blend the colour back anyway, as then you know you're definitely not going to notice the harsh line through the colour that you pop on top. On to the pointer finger, and I'm using another colour from the new Pantone Autumn Winter collection. So this is number 63 and it's a gorgeous champagne effect nude acrylic. There's so much fine glitter packed into this. It's absolutely beautiful. And to start off with, I'm just going to do a full nail of this on this nail because I want to apply some water decals over the top. So what I've done is I've placed my bead of acrylic down at that cuticle area, tapped it up into place, and then I'm blending it down towards the very tip of the nail. And then because it didn't quite reach, I'm going to come in with another bead of acrylic. I'm just making sure everything's nice and neat, and making sure as well that that first bead of acrylic is blended out so that my next bead of acrylic is going to smoothly go over the top. When I first place this bead of acrylic down, I'm going to blend it back into that previous bead of acrylic just so that there's no shadowing or patchiness. And then I'm just going to pull that down to the very tip of the nail. And as you can see, it's so super sparkly. I'm also going to be using this colour on the ring finger for that ombre. So I've placed my bead of acrylic down right where the white finishes. I'm tapping it up into place at the cuticle area, trying to get a really nice, neat cuticle application. And then I'm blending that down over the white. And as you can see, it creates a really effortless ombre. You can still see the white slightly through it because it's not a very opaque colour. So I'm going to come in with another bead of acrylic to build that up. Again, tapping it up into place around that cuticle area, being really careful not to get any on the skin or the cuticles. And then I'm blending this down the nail. Now I did take this slightly further down the nail than what I planned, just because I picked up quite a large bead. So I'm wiping some of that off and doing my best to blend it out as much as possible. Like I said, this ombre didn't need to be perfect because we're going to be applying some nail art over the top anyway, but I'm just trying to keep it as neat and as clean as possible. Cleaning off at the very tip so that that still looks nice and crisp white without too much of the shimmer from the glitter. Then over the top, I've picked up more of those chrome flakes. Again, I'm just picking them up using my wet brush. I'm not picking them up with any additional acrylic. And then I'm just rubbing and brushing them with that brush, and that's going to break them up to create the effect that we have here. If you don't want this effect, you can just leave them as they are when you place them down on the nail. But I do find breaking them up a little bit really helps them reflect in the light and give off a really pretty effect. Then I'm going to place down some more of those leaves. I think I just popped 2 down on this now. I didn't want to overpower it too much. I did still want to be able to see some of that ombre underneath. And then once again, just popping a wash of clear acrylic over those leaves because this will hold them in place so that when it does come to encapsulating, you're not moving those around. And then once I'm happy with this nail, again, we're just going to leave that to set and I will encapsulate further along. I do think I left all of the encapsulation out of this video though, to be honest. So on the little finger, I'm going to be doing a full nail of that gorgeous terracotta brown. So this is number 65. So as you can see, I've placed my first bead of acrylic down. I'm tapping it up into that cuticle area, getting as close to the cuticle as possible. And then I'm just pushing that acrylic from side to side, and then I'm going to start pulling the top of that bead down the nail. You want to leave the bulk of it where you've placed it so that you keep most of the coverage. Then I'm just blending it out, ready to come in with my next bead of acrylic. So I'm placing that bead of acrylic down right on top of the previous bead of acrylic, and then I'm just tapping it from side to side and then pulling it down towards the very tip of the nail. I'm kind of working with both a patting and pressing as well as a painting motion. I do find the Modelones acrylics fairly easy to work with, but I'm using their slow setting monomer, which is what I do find a little bit tricky. Now this is what our nails look like once all of that acrylic has been applied. Off camera, I then did encapsulate these in the Modelones clear acrylic, and I also did all of the filing and buffing as well. And we're then ready to pop some on top nail art. So I'm going to be coming in with these water decals from Charlie's Nail Art. I've had these absolutely ages, so I'm not 100% sure if they are still available on the Charlie's Nail Art website. But if not, they do have some beautiful water decals, so I would recommend checking out her site. Now I'm going to be applying the water decals using the stamper method. So I've cut out my water decals. I cut out 3, but I ended up only using 2. And I've placed them face down onto my stamper, and then I'm just applying some room temperature water. As you can then see, the backing paper slides off of those decals really easily, and you're able to look through your stamper and press that water decal down directly onto the nail. This can be a little bit tricky doing it this way when you're working over acrylics. I find this way easier when I'm working over gel polish because of the tacky surface of the gel polish helps grab on to the water decals. So you do need to take a little bit of extra time if you're working over a non-tacky surface. Once I'm then happy with where that decal is placed, I'm going to use my Kiki London silicone tool just to nudge that decal into place and get out any bubbles or creases. And then I'm going to do exactly the same with the second one. I do find when you're applying the water decals with the stamper method, you do get hardly any bubbles or creases, but I always like to smooth over them anyway, just to make sure they are lying as flat as possible on the nail. And then I will top coat these to seal these in further along in the video. But for now, we're just going to add a teeny tiny bit of stamping. So I'm using this stamping plate, which is from Nicole Diary. This has such an amazing selection of images on there. And I just wanted the simple leaves up in the top. So I'm going to wipe the area of the stamping plate that I'm going to be using with some acetone, just to make sure it's really, really clean before we apply the stamping polish. Then I've got my white Nicole Diary stamping polish. So I'm going to apply a generous amount of this to the image. I'm going to take my scraper and scrape off the excess, and then using my clear jelly stamper, I'm going to pick up that image. Now the image itself picked up absolutely beautifully, but it didn't transfer 100% perfectly, but I decided not to redo it because it was getting late and I just wanted to get this set of nails finished. We've recently got a new puppy, so squeezing in the time to do things has been really, really tricky because I'm trying to do things when he's having a sleep. But as you can see, it pressed down okay. Just if I was doing this set on myself, or if he was working on a client, I would probably have wiped that off and redone it just so it looked perfect. But anyway, we're now going to come in and top coat. So I'm top coating using the Modelones No Wipe Top Coat. I'm just going to apply a thin layer of this to all of the nails and then pop them in to cure for 60 seconds. Now, usually if I'm doing water decals, I would double top coat. For the purpose of the video, because no one's actually wearing these nails, it's just a practice hand, I've just done a one layer of top coat. But I do find if I'm using a standard top coat, I like to double top coat my water decals. Or alternatively, I like to use my Kiki London or No Wipe rubber top coat because that's a little bit thicker and it seems to seal everything in nicely. So because this nail here is a clear tip nail, I like to top coat underneath as well, just so you get that crystal clear finish. Now this is a really lovely top coat to work with. It's got a nice consistency, it's not too thin or it's not too thick. And whenever I'm doing a set of nails, I like to use the full system. So because I use the Modelones acrylic, I thought it would be best to top coat with the Modelones top coat. And it does give off a beautiful shiny finish as well. So whilst I'm finishing up here, I just want to take a moment to ask how you're all doing. I hope you're all keeping safe and well, and we're rapidly approaching Christmas. So are you all looking forward to Christmas? I can't wait to start on some Christmas designs. But anyway, here is the finished result of this set. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up or leave me a comment below. And if you aren't already subscribed to my channel, I would absolutely love it if you did. Thank you all so much for watching. Lots of love. Bye bye.